Welcome, brilliant minds. Today you should already have your textbook open to where it says The Rise of Christianity, chapter 13, on page number 370. So make sure you're opening up to page 370 now. You can pause the video if you need to make sure you're open to the right page. And then you should already have your Do Now ready. So you're going to make sure that you have your binder open. You're going to turn from classwork 1 notes, past classwork 2 notes, and get set up on classwork 3. And for classwork 3, you should already have gotten your page set up with the following. But if you need a moment to pause the video now to make sure you get set up, that's fine. So you can go ahead and pause now to make sure you're caught up on these notes. And then many of you have already begun to see what other consonants there are on page 370 in your map. So let's go ahead and check to make sure that you got the correct answers. If you have not yet filled in these 2 blanks, you want to pause the video now to see what other continents you can find besides Europe on this map. Now that you've filled in those 2 on your own, let's see what other ones we can add. So I see that Europe is listed here in bold black letters that are all capitalized. And I see another one here, Asia, that's also in the same font. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in on my circle map Asia as well. You can put a check here if you got that correct, or you can correct it now by adding it. And if we go back up, I want to see if we can find a third one. And I see, a third one here. I see that Africa is the third continent on this map. So I can go ahead and add that to my circle map. If you got that correct, then you can go ahead and give yourself a check. And if you didn't get it, now's a good time to correct it to make sure that it says Africa. So we are now going to be looking at the questions for this map. And there are 3 questions. So I'm going to go ahead and number them 1, 2, and 3. And now we can go ahead and take a look at these questions. Number 1 says, look at the map. Is Rome located northwest or southeast of Jerusalem? Okay, this is a tricky question because we want to make sure we're figuring out where it is in relation to Jerusalem. So it says Rome and Jerusalem. Where is Rome in relationship to Jerusalem? Okay, it says, is Rome located northwest or southeast? Well, if I say that it's this way, which is north, and this way, which is west, it must mean that Rome is located northwest, not southeast. So now I can go ahead, and for number 1, I can say Rome is northwest of Jerusalem. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. For number 2, it says, what physical features made it challenging for early Christians to expand their faith from Judea to Britain? Okay, well, first we're going to have to find Judea and Britain. So just like we did for Rome and Jerusalem, we're going to come back over here. And I do see Judea right here. I don't see Britain. Oh, it's kind of in the crack right here. So Judea's right here. Britain's all the way up here. So I'm going to figure out what is in the middle that would have stopped them. Well, the sea wouldn't have stopped them because the sea actually is pretty easy to cross as long as you have a boat, right? So what would have stopped them besides the sea? I see they were able to travel across the sea because they have all spread out here from my key, right? It shows me that Christians were able to add territories right here. So it wasn't the sea that stopped them. What would have stopped them? Well, if I look really closely, I can see here, it looks like there's some bumps here that represent the mountains. These would be the Alps, which I know are mountains. So that might have stopped them from getting Britain. Or maybe even just that it was so far away. So I have 2 possible ideas I could add. I could say it may have been difficult to travel that far or across mountains. For number 3, critical thinking, it says, how did the Mediterranean Sea make it easier for Christianity to spread? Well, we were looking at this before for the other question. It seems like they were able to spread all around the edges along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. So I could say that it must have mean it may have been easy to travel by boat. Okay. Now we've accomplished our map, and we've talked a little about map skills and continents and compass skills for the last couple of lessons. This is definitely going to be on our quiz for Friday. And one of the things I'm going to give you guys to make sure that you can help study for that quiz is a review of what we did in quarter 1, and that is a map resource sheet. So Miss, I'm going to be passing this out to you. If you've already received it, now you know what to do with it. You're going to have this resource to keep in your binder. It has all of the continents labeled, as well as all of the oceans, and it even has the Middle East region that we're focusing on for Judaism, Christianity, and eventually the Islam unit right here as well. Okay, and you're going to need to know all of these continents and oceans on your quiz on Friday, as well as the directions of the compass to be able to answer questions about where things are in relation to other locations. So in order to make sure you have this in your binder nice and neat and it's easily accessible, we're actually going to turn back to the front of our history section, and we're going to put this in the front so we always know where it is, okay? So you want to make sure that you are opening up those binder rings and putting it in the front. Okay, and now it's nice and neat where you can get to it easily, and you can use it to study for your quiz on Friday. We can turn back again, 1, 2, and we were on 3. Okay, so now we've done our map work, and we want to think about what our objective is for the day. If our title is Christianity Review, then our objective is we will describe the beliefs of Christianity by writing complete sentences using a tree map with 3 pieces of evidence. Okay, so similar to what we did about Judaism, we're trying to figure out the beliefs of Christianity, just like we did the beliefs of Judaism. Only this time we're going to be using a tree map to write our complete sentences, and we're going to make sure we have 3, not 2 pieces of evidence. So we're getting a little bit building on what we did last time. Now that you've done our objective, we're actually going to turn to our text that will help us to get this information. And the way that we're going to do that is going back to our textbook, and we're going to turn 2 pages until we get to page 374. On page 374, you're going to see a section that starts with the heading Jesus of Nazareth. We're going to be talking about what were the message of Jesus, and we're going to be looking at this first part. Okay, so as I read, I'm going to be taking notes on a thinking map. And my thinking map is going to be about Christian beliefs. And I'm going to start with a pretty wide tree map so I can add as many as I see. So we'll come back to this tree map as we're reading. As we're reading, you want to make sure that your textbook stays open and that you're tracking along with me as I read. Here we go. A few decades before the first Jewish revolt, a Jew named Jesus grew up in a small town called Nazareth in Galilee, a region just north of Judea. This is another reason why we looked at our map, right? Because we want to make sure we know that he grew up and lived in this area of Judea that we were just looking at on the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. In about AD 30, Jesus began to travel throughout Galilee and Judea, preaching to people about his ideas. A group of 12 close followers called disciples traveled with Jesus. This word disciples, I think, might be a key vocabulary word. So I think what I'll do is I'll just come over here and I'll keep track of some vocabulary words as well. So I'm going to write down, this is my vocab. And I'm going to write down disciples equals followers. Right? Back here. According to the Christian Bible, Jesus preached that God was coming soon to rule the world. Jesus urged people to turn from their selfish ways and welcome the kingdom of heaven. In the excerpt below, Jesus calls on his followers to joyfully accept God's coming as a precious gift. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Jesus preached that God created all people and loved them the way a father loves his children. Therefore, people should love God and one another. In this way, they would be obeying God. The message of Jesus reinforced Jewish teachings. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. The teachings of Jesus are summarized in his Sermon on the Mount. Jesus preached on a mountainside to a crowd of thousands. Wow, okay, so there's a little bit here that I think we should write down. The first thing I noticed is that it's similar to Jewish teachings. So I want to write on my tree map that Christian beliefs are similar to Jewish beliefs. Okay, and that's not surprising because last class we knew that Jewish beliefs are going to inspire Christian beliefs. I think that it's really important to look at his words themselves too, and we have a couple of quotes from him. The one that stood out to me the most was about love your neighbor as yourself. His message was really about love and loving other people, not just loving God. So I'm going to go ahead and add another branch. I'm going to bring it down a little bit further so I have space to write. I'm going to say love your neighbor as yourself. And basically, I'm going to translate that into my words. I think it's going to mean basically treat people how you want to be treated. Okay. Now that I've got two beliefs from this text, this section, I'm going to go ahead and turn to a different section that's going to give me more information about Christian beliefs. So I'm actually going to turn the page 2 more times until we get to page 379. And on page 379, we're going to read about what are the basic Christian beliefs to add to our tree map, okay? Because we only have 2 branches, and we want to make sure we have at least 3 to write about. The early Christians believed in one God. Ooh, that's something I can definitely write down. So I'm going to write down that they believed in one God. One God. I wonder if you can figure out what vocabulary word we learned last class that we could add about what it means to believe in one God. See if you can remember it. Pause the video and write down what that belief was called, to believe in one God. I'll give you a clue. You might want to turn back to your notes about Judaism. Okay, hopefully by now you found that our vocabulary word monotheism means a belief in one God. So here we can turn and write one God means that they believed in monotheism. Mono equals one. So they believe in one God. Let's keep reading this section about other basic Christian beliefs. They believed in one God, not the many gods of Rome. They believed that Jesus was the Son of God. They believed that he had come to save people. By becoming Christians and by accepting Jesus and his teachings, people could gain salvation. There's a lot there that they said, they believe. So let's see if we can add. They believed he had come to save people. They believed he was the Son of God. So I'm going to say, but one of the things they believed is not just in this one God, but that Jesus equals Son of God. Okay? Now, we also want to keep reading about what this means to be saved. They would be saved from their sins or wrongdoings and allowed to enter heaven. Like Jesus, people will be resurrected after death and join God in everlasting life. So we want to make sure we're adding this belief about what would happen after death. So they believe that they accepted there was one God and that Jesus was the Son of God, that then you could go to heaven after death. Okay? If you need more space in your tree map, you can feel free to go down to the next lines and write it down here as well, or to do what I did and make sure you're doing some up and some below to give yourself more space. You could even go to another page and add another tree map to a different page. Because of their faith in Jesus, Christians began to believe in God in a new way. Like the Jews, Christians believed in the God of Israel and studied the Hebrew Bible. However, they also believed in the Christian Trinity, which comes from a word meaning three. In Christian belief, the Trinity refers to three persons of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. These teachings became the basis of the Christian faith. Oh, they're the basis for the whole faith. I think we should definitely write down this idea of the Trinity. So I'm going to write down Trinity, which is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay, or in other words, three parts of God. I'm running out of space in my tree map, so let's see if I have anything else I need to write down and how I'll squeeze it in. Here it says, during the 100 years after Jesus' death, Christians won followers throughout the world. The peace and order established by the Roman Empire gave people the ability to spread the Christian religion. It doesn't have any more beliefs, so I'm good on finishing my tree map. Remember that if you need more space, you can always write more down here and continue another tree map, or you could turn to another page. If you want to pause the video and after that, you absolutely can. I'm going to start writing, and I want to make sure I have enough space to write, so I am actually going to turn to a separate piece of paper. I'm going to keep flipping back to this so I can see what to write about, because the goal is to be able to use my tree map to help me write those complete sentences in order to accomplish my objective with three pieces of evidence that I have gathered here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So I want to choose a 3 that I think are most important. And that's what I want you guys to do right now. I think that number one thing is probably important is that just like Judaism, they believe in one God. So I definitely want to talk about that one. I want you guys to go ahead and choose 2 more that you're going to write about. So go ahead, pause the video now and start 2 more that you think are really important to write about. Okay, by now you should have chosen your 3. I'm going to choose 2 more that I'm going to write about. I'm going to write about Jesus being the Son of God, because that's really important because he was the one who's spreading the message, and also that his words, that he wanted people to love their neighbor as themselves. Okay, so these are 3 that I'm going to write about when I start to write in my complete sentences. Now I'm going to turn my page over, and I'm going to go on the back of the page just to save paper, and I'm going to start achieving my objective. So this is my proving behavior. And I need to write complete sentences. So it said, what do Christians believe in, right? So Christians had many beliefs. The most important is that I want you to use that sentence starter to help you fill in your first complete sentence about one of their beliefs. And you can use a sentence starter as well as going back to that tree map to figure out which one of these you want to write about first. Go ahead and pause the video to finish that sentence starter now. Okay, by now you should have your own sentence starter, and I'm going to write mine. You can check yours against mine. Is that... They believed in one God, just like Jews did. Remember, you have to have your own ideas if you want to achieve a 3. If you're just copying down mine, you can only get as high as a 2. So make sure you're thinking of your own ideas to add for this one or for the next 2. So I want to make sure I now add. They also believed, you can go ahead and work on the sentence starter, making sure you're adding your own ideas if you want to achieve that 3. And you're going to get your own ideas by going back to that tree map, look at the 3 that you starred. Okay. You should pause your video now to make sure you can go ahead and add to this sentence starter. So now I'm going to add to this. You should be checking yours against mine. And they also believed that Jesus was the Son of God. Okay, I've got 2 beliefs so far, so I want to see if I can add a third to get to achieving my objective about 3 beliefs in complete sentences using my tree map. So I'm going to go back and see, okay, well, if I've already talked about believed in one God and Jesus the Son of God, then I just need to talk about this one left. So you should be working on your 3rd star right now, and go ahead and see if you can start this sentence on your own about whatever your 3rd star is. You can pause the video now to begin writing that 3rd belief. Okay, by now you should have already written your 3rd belief, and I'm going to see if you can check it against mine. So for mine, I had to write about his quote about loving your neighbor as yourself. So I'm going to say, I want to maybe say the word Christians again, because I haven't said this in the beginning. I want to make sure people know who I'm talking about when I say they. So I'm going to say Christians try to follow the words of Jesus to love your neighbor. I don't remember the rest of the quote, so I'm going to go back to check. Love your neighbor as yourself. As yourself. Okay? So now I've got complete sentences. I've got 1, 2, 3 beliefs, and I've achieved my objective. If you have copied down mine and you have only earned a 2, now's a great opportunity to go ahead and add something else of your own, so when I come to see your open notes, I can see you did your own work and give you a 3 for your classwork grade for today. You also want to make sure that if you're finished, not only your notes open, but your textbook can now be closed in the center of your desk. So you can go ahead and close that textbook up, so you're already partly packed up, and leave those notes open so I can come around and make sure I'm giving you credit for your work for today. I hope you guys are very proud of the work you achieved. Thank you so much.